Have you ever wondered if you'll actually make it as a video editor, making a full-time income, sitting at your desk at your own home, drinking a latte and doing the thing that you love? Well, the chances are you probably won't. You see, 99% of video editors fail. Don't believe me? Then take a look through Fiverr. Scroll through the seas of gigs with 0 ratings. Have a look through Twitter. See all of the editors with, 10 followers and have never worked with a single client. It's a harsh reality that you're probably going to struggle to accept. So today, I'm going to go through the 3 biggest mistakes that most editors make that hold them back from achieving a full-time income, to make sure that you don't make the exact same mistakes. Whether your editing goal is to make enough money to drop out of your job, or even just buy your mum a Christmas present, this video will help you. Make sure you stick around to mistake number 3, because it has single-handedly lost me thousands of dollars. If you're new here, my name's Joseph, and over the past 2 years, I've managed to scale my editing business from $0 to $5,000 per month, all while still at school. So if you're interested in making a full-time income from editing, then click the subscribe button. I'm going to start off by telling you a story about a part-time job I used to have, and trust me, you will see how this is relevant. Every single Saturday, I used to work at a local cafe, and I absolutely fucking hated it. Hey isn't honestly a strong enough word. I used to dread it all week. Every single Saturday for over a year, from 8:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. I was stood in a greasy cafe washing up dishes, and I got one 20-minute break in that 9-hour shift. I swear that is illegal. I mean, you kind of get desensitized to it after a while, but wiping off half-eaten food off a plate into this murky, disgusting water is absolutely vile. But this wasn't even the worst part. The bit I hated the most was the people I worked with. Genuinely, one of the most evil people I've ever met in my entire life worked in that kitchen. They just used to bully me. You know, as a chubby 14-year-old with wonky teeth, they could force me to do whatever they wanted. And I can remember one time that they made me get on my hands and knees on the sticky kitchen floor to pick up a singular chip from under the countertop, while all of the 3 chefs stood around me and just laughed. All of this for £35. And when I got home, I'd just sit in the bath and start crying. But I think it was my absolute hatred for this job that drove me to my success in editing. I mean, I only started selling my editing services so that I could get out of this job. And every time I felt that dread for my shift that was coming up, it would just make me work harder on my business, sending more outreach, improving my skills, because I knew that the harder I worked, the faster I would get my first client, which would in turn allow me to quit this awful fucking job. And of course, I had my doubts if all the effort I was putting in would actually pay off. Seeing all of these failing editors around me and people at my school telling me it would never work nearly made me give up. I've made my fair share of mistakes, but when I did sign that first client and started making 10 times as much as this cafe would pay me, sending that "I quit" message felt so much better. So let me help you learn from my mistakes so you can make progress so much quicker than I did, to get you out of whatever dire situation you might be in right now. The first mistake that I see so many editors making is simply not sending enough outreach. So many people just get caught up on writing the perfect outreach message, scouring the entire internet for finding the most optimal email to send. But the truth is, what you say doesn't really matter. The only thing that you should be worrying about is how many messages you've sent per day. The message or email that you send shouldn't really matter, because your brand and portfolio should speak for itself. Your message only acts as a vehicle for prospects to see your work. Yeah, of course, there's a few things that an outreach message needs to include, like using their name and including a link to your portfolio. But everything else really isn't that important. As long as you're polite, have no spelling errors, and make it clear what you're there for, your message is as optimized as it needs to be to get clients. I remember in one of the first outreach emails I ever sent, I copy and pasted the wrong name, and oh my god, I was absolutely distraught by this. I literally thought that my editing career was over, when in reality, that one email was a drop in the ocean compared to the thousands of outreach messages I've sent in my editing career. But here's where most editors fuck it up: not sending enough outreach, and thus not driving enough traffic towards their offer. Look, if you're not getting any clients, you just aren't sending enough outreach. It's as simple as that. Let's say that every single day you send 50 cold emails and 50 Twitter DMs. Do you really think that after months of this, not a single person will give you a chance? If you do, you're just fucking deluded, and I can't help you. It's gonna take you time to get a yes, but when you do, it's gonna make all of the previous no's pay off. I found that the best mindset for this is to believe that your financial freedom is one message away, because all it takes is one yes, and that yes could be one message away. It could take you months or even years, but what's your other choice? Pay £80,000 for a university degree and spend all of your time with other, quite frankly, confused people partying every single day of the week, only to get a 17 grand per year job once you graduate? Literally, one editing client can pay you that. And if you've made it this far into the video, I know that you're better than this. I know that you have the capability to turn your passion into your job. So stick to it, stay consistent, and I promise you that you will make it. The second mistake holding editors back from a full-time income is a complete disregard towards their branding. This is completely killing any chance whatsoever you have of being noticed by big creators. Having unprofessional social media accounts, portfolio, and outreach messages is an immediate red flag. You could be God's gift to Earth, the world's best editor, but if your brand makes you look like a fucking child, nobody's gonna stick around to see your skills. So how do we build a desirable brand? First, I'd start off by cleaning up your Twitter profile. This will probably be the first thing that your prospects see, and therefore one of the most important things to get right, because as cliche as it sounds, first impressions do matter. No matter what you think, you can never shake the first impression that somebody gets of you. I honestly think that it's impossible. So let's make sure that we're getting off on the right foot. Make sure that everything just looks clean, with a professional profile picture and header. Make sure that your bio says that you're an editor and includes who you've worked with. And please, 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 please make sure that there are examples of your work posted on your profile. If you're struggling for ideas, literally go onto my Twitter and copy it all. It's proven that it works for getting clients. Just change it so it's more relevant for you. The same goes for your portfolio. Make sure it looks clean and professional with uniform fonts and well laid out. Also, just stop being a fucking cheapskate and buy a domain. It's so cheap, but it makes you look like an actual business, which is a priceless investment. And if that changes a prospect's perception of you, it's 100% worth it. Mine literally renewed a couple of days ago, and I think I paid £16 for the entire year. So if you're not prepared to do that, then I can't help you, bro. Just click off. And finally, for God's sake, just make sure that everything is spelled correctly, from your outreach to your portfolio, because nobody's gonna hire somebody who doesn't know the difference between the two spellings of there. It makes you look like you're in primary school. To be honest, having a good brand can carry you through your editing career. You don't have to be mechanically the best editor, but if your branding is on point, you won't have a problem at all attracting high-paying clients. The third mistake that I'm going to talk about today is one that's affected me massively, quite literally losing me thousands and thousands of dollars, and it's being able to stick to deadlines. Now, I have an extremely hot and cold relationship with deadlines. I'll go through periods of sticking to deadlines for months and months on end, but then only to get burnt out and end up handing in edits weeks or even months late. And in turn, this has just lost me clients because they quite simply just got sick of my shit, just waiting for weeks and weeks for me to hand in my edits. And it's not something that I'm proud of, and I'm working really hard to improve at it. My biggest piece of advice for sticking to deadlines is to not overcommit yourself to too many videos per week. In December of last year, I was editing 4 videos per week, which I could only just about handle, and therefore it eventually just burned me out, leaving me to miss countless deadlines. To make sure that this doesn't happen to you, estimate how long it would take you to edit a video. Once you have that number in hours, increase it by 50%. This is because 1, our brains naturally underestimate how long things are gonna take, and 2, it gives us a bit of wiggle room if anything goes wrong in our week. So when a client asks you how long your turnaround time is, say that number, just to make sure that nobody gets annoyed, that being you and the client. Also, I know that a lot of the make money online gurus are going to disagree with me about this, but I honestly think that you should have a couple of days per week editing free. So only take on about 5 days per week worth of editing. This is going to make sure that you're not going to burn out. And again, if something goes wrong, it will give you leeway to still hit the deadline. One last tip that I have for this is to set mini deadlines for yourself while you're editing. So set a deadline for the cut. Tell yourself, I'll have this cut done in 2 hours. Set a deadline for the animation. Tell yourself that you'll have them all done in, I don't know, 6-ish hours, so on and so forth. The process of setting these micro deadlines will help you stick to the big deadline. And if I'd have implemented these tips earlier this year, I'd be making thousands more per month. But I'm happy to say that I haven't missed a deadline in a good few months. Now, if you want to learn the secret technique that all of the biggest video editors use to get infinite video editing clients, then click this video up here.